Hello, viewers, morning viewers, me again. Oh, yeah, another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. Yep. Hello, subscribers. Yeah, you. Sitting here messing with y'all. All right, what I got for you guys? uh, Microsoft Hyper-V upgrades final unlocks confidential Linux security. Says here with Linux 6.17 out of the door, the merge window for Linux 6.8 has opened with Linux 6.18. The Linux kernel is getting further. Oh, that was six. Oh, that was Linux 6.18, not 8. Sorry about that. Says here enhancements for Microsoft Hyper-V virtualization support. One of the main improvements is that the Hyper-V guest entry code has been unified for both KVM and Microsoft Hyper-V. This simplification could make the code easier to maintain. Another feature is that KEX and KDump are now supported with Azure Confidential virtual machines. KEX allows Linux systems to boot a new kernel quickly without a full restart, while KDump can snapshot the system memory when the system crashes to help figure out why a crash has happened. With these changes, even in super secure encrypted CVMs, you can use KEX/KDump. This allows developers to debug crashes and properly in confidential environments on Azure. Aside from adding features, Microsoft has formally deprecated the Hyper-V frame buffer driver. Then it says quotes Hyper-V _ FB quote says the driver is being phased out in favor of Hyper-V Direct Rendering Manager DRM driver. According to Phoronix, DRM/KMS drivers are far better than the older Linux FB driver. Then it said, aside from the aforementioned changes, there are a variety of other updates to Hyper-V landing in Linux 6.18. One of them is that the infrastructure has been cleaned up for added efficiency. The Hyper-V MSI domain has been updated to change how Hyper-V manage hardware interrupted requests, modernizing the mechanism for better efficiency. And then it says, these and the rest of the changes to Linux 6.18 will be tested over the next 2 months to ensure stability before they're pushed out to the public. And anything else on this? Going once, going twice. Any comments from the debaters? Let's see. Oh, here we got some comments. What do we got? T-Sar Nikki said this. Does this mean that whatever Linux security existed has now been downgraded now that Microsoft is screwing around with Linux? Microsoft has multiple decades long history of screwing up products that gets involved with under the guise of partnership and then devouring. Look, whenever you go into business with someone, you always keep your guard up. I don't think Linux will give up on their own security just because Microsoft is helping them. If I were the Linux security team, I would keep my guard up. Just saying. Anyway, and then Dusto said this: you do realize Microsoft has been one of the largest Linux kernel contributors for almost a decade at this point, right? Question mark. But even though you still keep your guard up. Just because you're in business with someone, that don't mean you let your defensive down or your guards down. You always keep your guard up. It's just the number one rule to business. Anyway, and then who is this? Centio said this. He's responding to T-Sar. He said this: Microsoft hasn't been a security risk in decade. Still keep your guard up. It says here, Windows Vista /7 was the first OS to use ASMR, not to sleep videos, for memory scrambling to prevent hackers who knows the RAM addresses for DLLS to prevent peeking and poking. Microsoft forced things needing admin rights to be a service with UAC to launch them. Microsoft also used stack protection libraries in C++ around the same time as OpenBSD to prevent stacks overflow. Microsoft beats Linux with Rust incorporation for things like the font rendering for memory safety. Still keep your guard up. It's business. And for those people that's talking about, I remember one time I was on the train, and I hear these programmers talking about C++, and they were arguing about C++. C++ is good. C Sharp, C++. Just saying. Anyway, Microsoft being insecure was true 25 years ago. And then Theo said this: kernel 6.18, which is in Ubuntu 25.10, and Fedora 43 beta, which updates KVM/QEMU with new features from this patch too. Promox, Unraid, and even Open Nebula will also benefit from this. You can containerize and partition VMS, which looks very cool. I have not played with this yet, but it looks cool. This could help Dockers as well. Theoretically, it says, I am downloading Ubuntu 25.10 now to look at the KVM side of things. Oh yeah, speaking of Ubuntu 25.10, I got to do a video on that. And then on top of that, I think LMDE 7 just got released too, so got to do a video on that. So got you guys covered, man. But other than that, yeah, you Linux users, you're good. Yeah, I'm keeping you up to date on your news, you know. Yeah, gotta love doing this. But anyway, yeah, Microsoft and Linux doing business, yeah. But even Linux, you know, even though Linux is doing business with Microsoft, they still got to keep their antennas up and their guards up. And yeah, you know, you don't let your guard down when you're in business with someone. You know, you never do. You always keep your guard up, always. In business, yeah. Anyway, so Microsoft and Linux working together, and this is based off the Linux 6.17 and .18 kernel. Yeah. So yeah, Hyper-V and virtualization, and Kex and CVMS. Yeah, frame buffers. You guys are good, man. Enjoy, folks. Have fun, you little engineers and developers and programmers. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Catch you on the next video. Appreciate the viewership. Comment, like, dislike, thumbs up, down. Take care of yourself, viewers. Winter and rainy season is upon us. Have fun in the winter, and see you next time. Bye for now.